South Africa witnessed a day unlike any other in its modern political history, a day that transformed a routine parliamentary sitting into an explosive and unforgettable moment of national reckoning. What began as a standard debate quickly spiraled into an eruption of raw emotion, defiance, and unprecedented confrontation. The National Assembly, already known for its boisterous exchanges, became the center of a political firestorm when opposition MPs shocked the chamber by demanding the immediate arrest of President Ramaphosa right there on the parliamentary floor in front of live cameras and a stunned nation. The reaction was instantaneous and overwhelming. MPs leapt from their seats, some cheering and chanting for justice while others hurled insults and accusations across the aisle. The speaker's gavel repeatedly struck the podium, but her attempts to restore order were swallowed by the roar of voices as the chamber dissolved into pandemonium. What unfolded was more than political theater. It was a mirror reflecting the deep fractures running through South Africa in 2025, a nation caught between hope and despair, stability and revolt, patience and breaking point. To understand why many outbursts ignited such turmoil, one must look beyond the parliamentary walls and into the simmering discontent gripping the country. South Africa is burdened by economic stagnation, staggering unemployment, persistent inequality, and unrelenting corruption scandals. The economy continues to limp along with unemployment stuck at 33% while youth unemployment hovers around a devastating 60%. Load shedding, despite endless promises of reform, still darkens homes, stalls businesses, and drains the country of optimism. Inequality, with a Gini coefficient of 0.63, the highest in the world, casts a long shadow over every community and remains a reminder of how far the nation still is from the dream of a fair and just society. In this climate of frustration, President Ramaphosa, once heralded as the leader who would usher in a new dawn after the corruption-plagued Zuma era, now stands accused by many of failing to deliver real change. Scandals such as the lingering failure affair involving undeclared foreign cash hidden on his farm have refused to fade away. More recently, the Madlanga Commission, established by Ramaphosa himself in July 2025 to probe corruption in law enforcement, has become a source of political danger rather than redemption. Explosive testimonies, particularly from National Police Commissioner Fanny Mamola, who claimed he warned Ramaphosa about disbanded anti-crime units only to be ignored, have raised serious questions about the president's competence or complicity. Against this backdrop, many's fiery accusation that Ramaphosa had betrayed the people and hid behind the privileges of power was not just political showmanship. It was a spark thrown into a nation drenched in political fuel. His thunderous call, "Arrest him now," aimed at the ANC benches, sent shockwaves far beyond the chamber and struck at the heart of widespread anger. The opposition erupted in applause and chants for justice, treating the moment as the beginning of a long-awaited reckoning. ANC loyalists, however, denounced the act as a disgrace and shouted back, calling many a liar and accusing him of undermining democracy itself. The tension rose so sharply that many feared physical clashes were imminent. As chaos took over, it became clear that Mani was not just targeting the president. He was challenging the very foundations of South Africa's political order. His outbursts questioned whether the country's democracy still worked for its people or had become a shield for those in power. His performance became both protest and provocation, channeling the rage of a nation exhausted by corruption and unfulfilled promises. Within minutes, social media amplified his defiance. Hashtags like #ARrestRamaphosa, #Manifyam, and #PloriChaos trended across the country. Clips of the uproar spread rapidly, triggering thousands of reactions and debates. Opposition figures like Julius Malema and Gayton McKenzie seized the moment, using their platforms to intensify the outrage. McKenzie even claimed an international arrest warrant for the president was imminent, a baseless assertion, but one that fed into a population hungry for accountability. From taxi ranks to university lecture halls, from rural radio programs to city streets, South Africans engaged fiercely in debates about whether Ramaphosa had betrayed the country or was being unfairly targeted. For many, Many had simply voiced what they had whispered for years, that the president was no longer untouchable. His boldness resonated deeply with those who felt forgotten, overburdened by hardship, and betrayed by leaders who had promised transformation but delivered stagnation. Even so, the ANC moved quickly to contain the fallout. Senior leaders condemned Mann's remarks as reckless populism aimed at destabilizing the government. They argued that Ramaphosa was navigating South Africa through unprecedented domestic and global challenges. His supporters pointed to his September 9 address, which introduced plans to channel 49.3 trillion in pension funds into infrastructure investment, as proof of his commitment to reinvigorating the economy. But the optics were disastrous. No matter how convincingly the ANC defended him, the image of an MP calling for the president's arrest in front of cheering MPs is a political wound that does not heal easily. Behind the scenes, advisers urged Ramaphosa to project strength and dismiss the moment as political theatre, but even they admitted that the damage was significant. The ANC's already fragile coalition with the Democratic Alliance, formed after the 2024 elections, now seemed even more strained, worsened by prior conflicts such as the DA revolt in June when Ramaphosa dismissed a deputy minister while shielding ANC allies facing corruption allegations. With coalition tensions rising and the Mkhwanazi Commission exposing uncomfortable truths, Ramaphosa's hold on power appears increasingly precarious. Political analysts speculate that the incident could accelerate a leadership challenge ahead of the 2027 elections or even push him out earlier. The comparisons to Jacob Zuma's downfall are difficult to ignore. But while Zuma's demise unfolded slowly over years of protests and court battles, Ramaphosa's crisis appears to be unfolding at a much faster pace, amplified by social media's ability to turn outrage viral in hours. What once took years now unfolds in weeks. Meanwhile, investors watch with growing anxiety. South Africa has already seen a 20% decline in foreign investment this year, and scenes of parliamentary chaos only deepen concerns about stability. International headlines, already unfavorable earlier in 2025 after Donald Trump commented critically on the "kill the board" chant, now add to the pressure. Ramaphosa's scheduled UN address on September 23, calling for global cooperation, risks sounding hollow amid domestic turmoil. The political fallout from many's defiance could take several paths. One possibility is escalation. If the Mkhwanazi Commission's final report, due later this year, implicates Ramaphosa directly, the country could face nationwide protests reminiscent of the massive shutdowns of 2023. The public is angrier now, more financially strained, and more connected through social media. Another possibility is resilience. Ramaphosa has survived political storms before, including the failure scandal. If he can deliver tangible progress on economic reforms and infrastructure, he may yet emerge damaged but standing. A third scenario sees public opinion turning against many, framing his actions as an attack on democratic institutions rather than a fight for accountability, an interpretation that could rally moderates to Ramaphosa's side. Still, the biggest wild card remains the Mkhwanazi Commission. Its findings could either vindicate the president or end his presidency. Leaks have already revealed ministers shielding criminal syndicates and police leadership implicated in dysfunction. If further testimony links Ramaphosa to these failures, even loyal ANC members may abandon him. In the days following the parliamentary chaos, the fallout has echoed across the nation. Media outlets replay the scenes endlessly. Talk shows analyze every second, and columnists debate whether Mann's actions were courageous or reckless. Public opinion remains sharply divided. Civil society groups are calling for calm dialogue and accountability while others demand early elections. Within the ANC, anxiety is growing. Some senior leaders privately fear that Ramaphosa's authority has waned and that the party's credibility is at its lowest point since 1994. Opposition parties sense opportunity and are mobilizing for one of the most heated political seasons in memory. Whatever happens next, one thing is clear: South Africa has crossed the threshold. The political landscape has shifted, the fissures exposed, and the stakes raised. Many's dramatic defiance will continue to shape conversations and political strategies. Whether he is ultimately remembered as a reckless agitator or a brave whistleblower, his actions have forced a national conversation about accountability, leadership, and the future of democracy. South Africa stands at a pivotal moment, and the storm that erupted in Parliament is far from over. The coming weeks will determine whether this was a momentary uproar or the beginning of a seismic political transformation that reshapes the nation for years to come.